Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. Today, we're at the number 5 card of the top 10 cards in Marvel Snap. Yep, we're moving fast. The number 5 card in all of Marvel Snap to me is Patriot. This is the card that's going to get me the most heat. This is the card that, if this makes its way to Reddit, that I'm going to suffer for. If you want to yell at me about this, find us on Twitter at SnapJudgeCast. But first, like and sub. Even if you're mad, I think my explanation will at least make you respect the placement of this card. First of all, +2 as an ongoing is the single best rate in the game. Cerebro does +2 as well, but Cerebro is so easily disruptible by anything that lowers or raises strength even a little bit, whether it be a location or other card, that it's super fragile. Patriot has none of this fragility to it. What else does Patriot have going for it? Well, to play Patriot, you only really need Mystique as an extra pull 3 card. Every other card in the game that you want to combo with it, including the often necessary Doom and Ultron, are nice but not requirements. If you don't have Doom and Ultron, I strongly recommend you try Iron Man and Onslaught in those spots, and you should just be fine. And then you just run all of the other cheap cards, and you're not going to have too much trouble. Next is the numbers here don't show it. The numbers are showing overall, but the win percentage of Patriot fundamentally every season stays right around here. I've been checking for a while because we're working on a tier list. Spoiler coming soon with our friend Vin Kelsier for the Snap Judgments podcast. Make sure you check it out on this YouTube or elsewhere. But the win percentage hovers around 60% for Patriot when played, when drawn. What does that mean in terms of other cards? Well, that means Patriots got a similar win rate to both Shuri Red Skull and those Thanos Lockjaw decks that everyone was so scared of. What else does Patriot have a similar win rate to? Well, it had a similar win rate to Zabu in the Zabu is Everywhere season. It had a similar, I think actually slightly better, win rate to Surfer in the Surfer is Everywhere season. Patriot's win rate is fundamentally through the roof, and people just don't play it because it's a fairly straightforward stats deck. There's not really a lot of control to it. However, Patriot's win rate warrants it being number 5. Honestly, it might warrant it being a little higher, but I felt like 5. I couldn't keep it out of the top 5, but I felt like 5 was a fair compromise, given its incredible numbers. I have fewer decks than usual for Patriot because Patriot is a build around. Patriot goes in Patriot decks. But if you are early in pool 3, this is fundamentally the deck you want to play. It is running a just cheap strong cards package with Patriot, Mystique, and Ultron. Ultron can be Doom. If you don't have Ultron or Doom, this can easily be Iron Man, which is way, way stronger than you would think. Let me just say, if you can get a bunch of early plays out into Patriot, into another big strong play, say an Abomination, sorry, excuse me, that wouldn't be Abomination, into a Cyclops, you can change Abomination if you're doing this for the Thing, into Thing, and then you either drop Blue Marvel, you drop Iron Man, and then Mystique, and you've just got a ton of power all over the board. Opponents really struggle into it. Patriot's also one of the kings of early snapping. If you've got Patriot in your hand, because of this high win rate when played and when drawn, you can often snap, and then when you drop him, your opponent realizes what's going to happen. They know whether they can solve this or not, and they have to respect that you could have Ultron or Doom, even if you don't, which means you can get into locations they can't. Again, extraordinarily strong. Another card you can consider because of the strength, once you have cards like Ultron and Doom, is Storm. Storm is a card that works really well in shutting down a location, and then you've got a bunch of little things there that suddenly get huge, and the opponent can't do anything about it. Absolutely stellar deck. There are 2 other versions of this for late game that I want to talk about for Patriot. This is one of my favorite decks in the game right now. It runs Patriot as a way to pump 5 cards. It pumps Wasp to a 1/3, potentially with Mystique a 1/5. But the real trick is if you can get Bast out for first. Now it's a 1/7. Sorry, 0/7. That's absolutely nuts, right? Every card in this deck, every single card in this deck benefits from that Bast pump. Patriot will also pump the Hood to an 8 all by himself. It'll pump the Squirrels to 1/3s, the best 1 drop rate in the game. It'll make the Mysterio clones O2s, again, phenomenal rate. Um, it's just stellar. Then, if you're having trouble closing a lane, Iron Man should win you one lane because you've got so much cheap, high power stuff to play. If you've got, let's say you miss on Mystique, right? You've got a 1-8 and a 1-3 in a lane, and then you can drop an Iron Man on top of it. So you're now at 22 power in that lane. Seems likely to win a fair number of games, right? Then in another lane, because you've got a hood somewhere and say a squirrel, girl squirrel, or blank Mysterio, whatever. Valkyrie takes over that lane on the last turn of the game, or you double Mystique and copy it, etc., etc. That bump from Patriot in this deck is absolutely nuts. The other MVP of the deck is, again, one, if I were doing a top 20, a card that would probably make it Bast, because every single card in this deck benefits from it. Um, Fundamentally, the cards you do need a lot to make this work, right? You don't really need Hood, but Wasp, Mystique, Patriot, Valkyrie are all necessities. You can probably make do without Mysterio just fine. Rock Slab would be a reasonable change, especially if you're sick of losing to Galactus. But this deck is stellar. And then a few days after this deck came to prominence, another deck was made that follows a similar theory. And instead of running the Iron Man package, runs a Sarah Surfer package, saying that I will lose my 1 power on Sarah to give +3 to everything on my board, and then that Patriot is going to bump, again, your Wasp, your Mysterio, and your Debris and Brood clones in order to take a lane. This deck is so very cool and wins games surprisingly. All of these decks are really expensive, keeping Patriot down a little bit, but hey, all you really need is a version of this first deck. A version of this first deck will win at high infinite. Trust me, I know. I climbed during one of the harder seasons 2 seasons ago from 88 to 95 with this deck in just a few hours. Patriot is a supremely powerful deck that is very straightforward and easy to win with early, and once you start unlocking a bunch of late game cards, these other two decks are extraordinarily fun. All right, that is the number 5 card in Marvel Snap. Please come back and check out the number 4 through 1 cards. Like and sub. We'll be happy to have you. Check us out on Twitter at SnapJudgeCast, and we'll see you soon.